Hello and welcome to another episode of Focus On. I'm Kiamo Mosipile. Discovery Bank and Visa recently released their SpendTrend25 report, providing insights into South African consumer spending habits based on in-depth analysis of credit card spend data. Joining me for more on this is Lineshri Moodley, Country Head for Visa South Africa. Lineshri, always a pleasure having you here once again. Let's delve into some of the insights that this report has given. When we zero in on South African consumers, when we look at the past year, consumers have seen a bit of reprieve, particularly speaking to the interest rate cut that was introduced in September, the first after a prolonged hiking cycle. But your report indicates that consumers are still conscious about how they're spending their cash amid this environment. Just tell us a little bit more about that.
Hi, Cameron. As always, pleasure to be here so thank you for having me. Absolutely. I think maybe to address the first point in terms of the reprieve from the interest rate drops, we actually saw it more towards the last quarter of last year, and this report sort of covers data for the entire year. So consumers are absolutely more focused in terms of where it is they spend. We saw in the previous Spend Trends report, so SpendTrends24, which covered 23 data as well as last year's data, that consumers are wanting to shop or they want to use their credit card not only for the access that it affords them to credit, but also because of the loyalty and rewards that it unlocks. So we saw through the Euromonitor report last year that 86% of consumers were saying that they actually agreed that they're starting to feel the pressure of the tough conditions, and of those who agreed with that statement, I think over 41% of them are saying that they are more likely to buy at places where there are loyalty or membership, showing us that loyalty and rewards is actually becoming quite a key focus for consumers to unlock value.
So I get the sense that consumers want more bang for their buck. But when we then expand on where they are then spending, what are the fastest areas of growth in terms of that?
Sure. So I'll start by where we still see the biggest spend, and it absolutely is on things like groceries, fuel, retail, and travel. This year, what we did was we actually added more South African countries into the report. Last year it was just Johannesburg and Cape Town. We've added Bloemfontein, we've added East London, we've added Pretoria, Gqeberha. And we see a difference between the two. So we see in the secondary sort of countries that we added in this year, there's definitely a lot more focus on things like essentials, groceries, fuel. Whereas you look at Johannesburg, Durban, and Cape Town, we see bigger share of their baskets for things like travel and eating out. So you can see that there is different trends or different share of spend when you look at the different cities that we surveyed this year. In terms of fastest growing category, subscriptions. The previous report, we saw subscriptions as a growing category, and we certainly saw an acceleration, but not, the previous report was more on streaming, and now we've actually seen a diversity in the type of subscription services, not just gaming, it's AI. It's online media, it's still e-commerce and groceries. So that's one of the categories we saw that was growing quite fast.
Sure. I still want to stay on how you've expanded your reach, not only in the traditional metros such as Johannesburg and Cape Town, but some of the other smaller cities. When we look, I've seen that Johannesburg still far outpaces their spend in terms of eating out and takeouts versus the other cities in terms of their spend on their basics. But are there any other trends that kind of maybe indicate a shift on spending patterns across the country?
Absolutely. So one of the key themes we saw this year was focused on convenience. We've seen a lot of companies globally as well as South Africa look at return to work, so no longer working remotely. And we saw this drive up spend in areas that you would seem to indicate convenience. I'll start with the first one is we saw dining out grow. And more than actually ordering online. And we see even when consumers are ordering online, there's diversity in what they're ordering. So it's not just takeout, but it's like ready-made meals, it's meal kits. we saw online grocery shopping outpace by 3 times in-store grocery shopping, also showing you that consumers want more of the convenience of shopping online. And we saw fuel jump 9 percentage points in terms of increase in spend, again, correlating very closely with return to work policy.
Sure. And just expanding more on this demand for convenience, an obvious indicator is through digital payments and the choice for cash over digital. Just also then give us more insights as to that consumer behavior to choose to spend digitally and online versus spending in the physical stores.
And so I think we have, we're definitely seeing a very thriving digital payment economy, digital payment environment in South Africa. And we're seeing it both on the consumer side as well as the merchants. I'll start on the consumer side, which is where the report was sort of commissioned. We see that South Africans are using cash less. 67% of the consumers surveyed said that they use cash less to almost never in a month. Whereas over 84% said that they feel more comfortable making a digital payment, online, especially if there's things like two-factor authentication. So when we look at digital payment, there's a direct correlation to consumers saying that they're happy to do it if they feel more comfortable that the transaction is safe and secure. Again, highlighting the need for us as digital transactions start to increase, you've got to spend more and invest more in securing the ecosystem.
I still want to stay on this topic. I know that you've also then highlighted consumers are more wary and more conscious of online transactions, but are still preferring to use it. So what would you say is the positive in terms of, should I say, trust that has been established, where there's still a reliance amid some of the hesitation that consumers have?
I think people are getting more and more comfortable to transact digitally, right? Whether it's with their wearables, like tapping their watches or tapping their phones. We saw digital wallet increase 9% of share when it comes to spend in the market as well, showing you again that people are very comfortable to leverage digital payments. And I think that comfort comes when they understand that the ecosystem is safe and it's secure. So the one thing is investing in, risk and fraud tools. And then the second part of it is to ensure that there's financial education so that more and more people start to understand that digital payments are safe and they are secure, and there's no need to worry about using it. You just have to keep things like your credentials, your passwords, those types of things safe. And I'll mention one more point. We saw significant increase in virtual cards for credit card because it offers that enhanced security. So we saw that even though the spend per active card on credit was quite slowed, it was because the number of cards in the market actually grew very significantly because of people using more virtual cards to transact.
I want to look at travel and international purchases. I know that some of the insights you've given is South Africans are traveling less, but are expanding their purchases and relying more on international transactions or purchases. Just tell us a little bit more about that.
So we saw an increase when it came to online spend, and we certainly saw a lot of spend on platforms like Amazon, of course. More sort of readily available in the country. We also saw that when consumers are traveling out of the country and having to do transactions, they mentioned that they have more of a preference to use the card to actually do digital spend. So we're seeing categories which you would very much expect, right? To book your plane tickets, your hotel, and then, when you get to the other side, whether you're paying for tours or food, etc. But those are the typical categories, obviously. And then I think the second one is we've seen quite a significant increase when it comes to subscription services, and particularly on AI. So AI grew 3 times its share from the previous report as more and more people started to use things like ChatGPT, Perplexity, OpenAI type of programs. So again, showing that consumers are becoming very comfortable using AI in their everyday lives.
also then want to zero in on brick and mortar stores are still seeing an uptick. And through some of the insights that you have provided, a blended approach to shopping where consumers place their orders online, but still would like to go into the physical store. When we look at the environment where it seems that online shopping is growing, it's quite interesting to see the need to go into the physical store still remains. Just tell us more about
absolutely. that. We saw this trend emerge in the previous report, and absolutely it's still here. There's a digital e-commerce 360 omni-channel report that says that 40% of consumers are, ordering online and picking up in stores, while like 60% actually check for the product availability and then they want to go into the store to actually buy it. When we look at South Africa, we see that 41% of consumers are actually shopping online. And of that, 21% actually prefer phygital. So they will, browse online, but then actually want to go into the store to purchase the item. So definitely seeing that trend emerge, but we are seeing online growth outpace in store by between 4 to 5 times overall in terms of all spend. So sure. It is certainly growing.
Sure. And I'm going to throw a spanner in the works here. When we look at this environment where consumers are more inclined to value-based spending, but also an increase in blended approach between digital, or should I say digital and the physical store, your advice to merchants and other small businesses that would like to leverage and capitalize on this environment?
Absolutely. So I think embracing the digital payments, and I think when we look at merchants, we look at overall on what are the types of challenges we can help them solve. The one is to enable them to take the physical payments, and we've seen through research that we've done, some of the concerns with taking cash are one, being robbed. Because you're carrying huge amounts of cash. I think another concern that came out quite strongly was that they were losing the sale because most consumers are actually taking a card, to do payments. I think it's about looking at, in addition to the payment, what are the additional value-added services that you can leverage off if you do go into digital payments, and over and above that, the ability to get access to credit. Because once you start to see more of the data come through, then, banks could have a look at that and actually afford you credit, which you can use to grow and scale your business.
Well, it is certain that digital payments are here to stay. So I agree with some of the sentiments that you have shared. But unfortunately, that's where we have to wrap up this conversation. Thank you so much to my guest, Linesh Moodley, Country Head for Visa South Africa, for joining me in studio to share some of the insights into consumer spending trends in South Africa. From me, Giamo Mosipile, and the rest of the team, it's goodbye for now.